everyone, and welcome back to Wrestling Forever, the podcast. It's Billy Kirkwood. Relax, I've never heard of me either, but I'll tell you who you have heard of. Ryan Fitzsimons. There he is right there. Number one. I'm throwing up the ones, Ryan. Throwing up the ones again. The host of the number one.
That's very kind of you. I mean, I'm pretty sure that more people watching will be familiar with Billy Kirkwood than they are with Ryan 118, but I appreciate it because we are indeed the number one Celtic podcast and soon to be number one in wrestling podcast. Welcome back. It's nice to be back. Episode 4, Billy.
Episode 4. They said it would never happen. And as Ryan says, yes, to casually other wrestling podcasts out there, we are coming for you. We're two Scots. We'll kneecap you. Get out of the way. I think that's the best thing. Get out of the way. Unless it costs
bottle of bucky in hand, baseball bat in the other hand, we'll get there.
Unless it costs you want to give us the rub, then that's fine. If you want to give us the rub, that's fine. That's fine. Ryan, let's get in about this. Lots been going on in the last the last 5 days in terms of pro wrestling. So I think the best thing to do is to jump straight in. We're gonna get to people's questions. We're gonna talk about Survivor Series, but let's get a little flavour of what we're into with a little bit of no. What are we into? What are we not into? I've got a big one, and it is hot off the presses, and it's a no, right? And this one...
you're starting with a no.
Starting with a no. This one could be controversial as well, right? So I'm getting the shit sandwich out the way before I get to... I've got to come out and say it. The New Day segment was pish. Wow!
You didn't like it?
I thought it was pish, and let me explain why.
Oh, right.
There's
go on.
fatal thing that lets it down, and that is, I'm afraid the 3 participants, people kept turning around and saying, it's cinema. This is cinema. I went, it'd be better acted. It was fucking awful, I thought. It didn't hit me in the heartstrings. I hope that this is leading to something else. We've heard that Big E is not cleared. We've heard that he's not going to be back in the ring, and he seems to be quite happy with that. Is there going to be more of that story? Fingers crossed. But in terms of the way it's done, I remember like a couple of weeks ago I'd said Xavier Woods' acting can be terrible. It was terrible in this. Like, it was awful.
Okay, right. I see a lot of people talking about how good a promo is and getting credit for how good his promo was last night, and then you're just like, no, not having it at all. Wow, that's
Let me show you Xavier Woods letting everyone know he's a heel.
He's not quite got the Roman Reigns facial expressions masterclass, has he? No.
There's literally no subtlety. Why are these 3 men monotone as fuck? Am I the only person that's noticed it? Shouting, but still being monotone. How is that even possible? For me, it sounded unbelievably rehearsed. And the thing, and this is what I want to make clear, I'm actually a fan of Xavier Woods, right? I'm actually a fan of Kofi Kingston, and I'm a fan of Big E Langston. But this was soap opera stuff, man. And I know that someone can easily turn around and go, oh, it's wrestling. It's panto, but considering where WWE meant to be taking things right now, and considering how I really wanted it to hit my heartstrings, like I really did, and it's all laid out, them pushing away Big E, blaming him for stuff, bringing a little bit of reality in about how he'd moved on so fast and how he wasn't there for them. I got it, but I just couldn't get away from like, these guys are not hitting this even slightly. So I'm afraid to say I thought that, and I'm from the heart, I ain't here winning pals. I ain't here trying to win fans or going away the IWC's going. I thought it was pish, and I was gutted.
That is fascinating.
I was gutted. I thought Xavier Woods in particular, I didn't believe it. I guess that's it, man. Right. I didn't believe it, and
it's interesting that you bring it up because my exact words to my mates this morning was, it wasn't quite what I expected. Yeah. And I think I was leaning more towards the disappointed side, but nowhere near as passionately as you, Billy. You clearly didn't like it.
It really took me out of it.
I don't know.
It really took me out of it. And as a wrestling fan, we are taking that leap of faith, right? We get it. We know what this is, right? We know what this is. We take that leap of faith every time we turn on our screens, right? It just took me out of it so much, and I was gutted. All that build-up.
they really went down the unpredictable route with the ending. Maybe not for the best, maybe for the worst. We sat here last week and I said there was 3 outcomes for me, and that was either that New Day split up, that Big E comes back as a manager, or Big E is cleared and comes back as a wrestler. And I thought it looked like I was right. It looked as though we were getting that manager path until Xavier and Kofi Kingston broke the hearts of everybody in the building. What I will say is, number one, before I go any further, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, I hope you never get cuddled again in your life. You are scumbags. How dare you? I will say that, but I agree to an extent with you, Billy. I think I was generally disappointed with the overall outcome because... So essentially now what we're going to get is a heel Kofi and a heel Xavier until Big E is cleared to wrestle, which I don't know about you. I'm not entirely sure that answers all the problems that the New Day have had over the past couple of years, and those problems being that they've been kind of boring, they've not had much to do, I've not cared about them. I'm not entirely sure a simple heel turn's going to make me care a whole lot more about them.
It's an interesting way you put it, because when I saw them standing there pulling their mad boy faces, I'm so mad, I hate everything. I looked at them and I went, do I care? Do you know what actually the first thing I thought, and these are 2 guys that can talk, man. The first thing I thought was, God, imagine what MVP could have done with these boys. Imagine what MVP could have done with these boys. That
is a good
Jesus,
point. It's a shame that Triple H apparently hates
Apparently, I found myself being right back off. How much do I care? These different paths they could take. Hey, listen, if they want to really bring them up to 2024, 2025, they want to make this like a controversial version of, like, remember the power the Nation of Domination had in their own time.
I was going to say it.
They want to do something like that. That would be great. Let these guys be controversial. Let them come on the mic. Let them drop truth bombs and all that type of thing. So maybe I'm being slightly harsh and they're making a transition. But the thing is, man, this has been so long coming. It's been so long coming that here we are. I don't know how much I give a shit. Maybe that's part of my problem. Maybe I'm looking for
I think that's my biggest part of the problem, Billy, not to cut you off. I think the biggest part of the problem with last night's segment was I actually did enjoy the segment itself, but for the weeks of build-up, I'm not entirely sure I enjoyed the payoff. Yeah. That's where my problem lies. I think it's the payoff that's kind of let me down a wee bit. Because is this now... Right, say Big E returns at the Rumble. Ambitious thoughts, right? Say Big E returns at the Rumble. Then maybe you get away with it. Maybe there's a story to tell there. But what happens if Big E's return isn't for months? Maybe even say another year. Then how long can Kofi and Xavier keep this entertaining? It's down to them now, and they're world class at what they do. I believe they can do it, but will the fans be invested enough in the time it takes for Big E to come back? Point. That's my biggest
worry. It's a great point. I mean, who do they work with that'll make us continue to hate them as much? I mean, that's the thing. They've taken the big shot. The big shot was Big E. They've taken the big shot. And that's even then, people were like, fucking brilliant, Big E. And then a whole bunch of, and I hate saying this, there's going to be some people in the fans and some people in the stands and some people watching and Netflix going, who was Big E?
It's true. Did you know, I'll ask you a question. Did you think the pop was as big as you would ever expect it to be? Because I didn't think it was great, and I felt bad for Big E because I thought when I think of him coming back, I always expected the roof to blow off the place. And I'm not saying it didn't, but it maybe wasn't to the extent I
guess part of the problem is as well, absence makes the heart grow fonder, but he is on every pre-show.
Yeah, exactly. So we have seen him.
He's on every pre-show. It's like if he'd have came running out, ripped off the shirt and started clotheslining people, I'm sure the place would have went crazy. And they were clearly very happy to see them. But wrestling, I mean, it might have just been a lot of people in the stands going, all right, we'll get on with it. Get on with it. What are we doing? Get on with it. Come on.
I guess, I never realised how long. It wasn't until Joe Tessitore said it that, it's almost 4 years. We've been talking about a couple of years. Almost 4 years he's been gone. And you think about how much wrestling has went through a big period. Biggie's been there for none of that. So there's got to be, as you kind of said, there's probably people in that crowd going, Who's this?
It would
No, bro, I have no idea.
I was let down. I know that people are going to say, "Oh, you fucking do it." No, I totally get that, but that's not my job. That's not my job, you know. I would say I was let down. The acting again, I thought came across as quite okay. It's fucking wrestling. Yeah, well, it wasn't even up to wrestling standards then. I just thought it seemed, and I understand this is long form. These guys are effectively doing a play in front of 10,000 people in an arena and trying to get them to care and worrying about hitting marks and all this type of thing. Man, I just, hand on heart, I thought it was crap. I think, see if it had happened and it not be the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, maybe I would have thought this was amazing. This felt rehearsed. This really felt rehearsed. Right. And the whole thing about wrestling is we're meant to believe it's happening in the now. And for 99% of the time, I reckon we have that feeling. This did not feel like that. You look at another segment on the show, right? You look at Punk, Seth, and Sammy. Night and day. Night and day.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that, to be fair.
I'm not saying they fucked it. I'm not saying they fucked it. But there's going to have to be a lot of work to bring this back.
Yeah. All right, okay. Strong words from Billy Kirkwood to start the show. Very strong words. That's the thing. So, very quickly before I get into my first I know of the week, or my only I know of the week, well, my only like, I wonder if they'll actually change the name and everything now, because surely that's the New Day done, and you can't be a heel tag team called the New Day. Like, it just doesn't.
It is a great question. Fit. I guess from a storyline standpoint, we are coming out of this with questions, and we don't really know what's going on. And even the Big E thing, like, is he really done? Like, is it done? Is it like he is not coming back? He is never coming back. Nobody really knows the answer, which can be, they're clearly playing into, you know, will he, won't he? Will he, won't he? Him mentioning his girlfriend and leaving them. Is this the catalyst to make Big E go, fuck it, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Or in 6 months' time, is Big E going to come back and then go, boys, you were right the whole time, and then be a massive heel? I don't know. So is Big E going to get that world title run if he comes back? Or has that been a moment in time that passed? And even then, kind of got flubbed a bit by WWE. I know that was a Vince regime, and I know that was a different time. Man, I just don't know. And I feel bad because I don't know how much I care. That's it.
Well, I'll go into my first I know of the week. Let me try and cheer up the tone a little bit. I'll start with a like. Yes. I'll start with a like. And it relates to Raw last night. Right. So, number one, for the people who watch this podcast who might be bigger fans of other promotions, I'm sorry that today might be a bit WWE heavy because we are just off the back of Survivor Series and we've both just literally watched Raw this morning. So we're a bit WWE pilled at the minute. So my first one today is off the back of Monday Night Raw, and I am a big fan of this teasing of Finn Balor leaving the Judgement Day. It is about damn time. Yeah. And the thought of put it this way, it's not just Finn leaving the Judgement Day. I am a big fan of the Judgment Day ending as a whole. It is ran. You said that the other week. You said that the other week. I think we touched on this very, very kind of briefly on one of the other episodes, but I think now you can start to see the pieces falling together. Finn Balor is clearly getting some friction with Dominic and Liv Morgan and Raquel. He's surely going to end up losing those tag championships with JD McDonough quite soon if they're putting them into world title matches. I think that's around the corner, them losing that. Carlito is Carlito. He feels like he could do something else, doesn't he? Carlito feels like he should probably just be released, Billy. Oh, really? He's a bit... I'm not a huge Carlito guy nowadays, but that's harsh. That's harsh. When they brought him back, and they even put him with the LW, I was so excited. LWO and stuff like that, I always felt like, this doesn't feel like a fit. They cheered Carlito because he was a local hero and he'd been an arsehole all his life. Like, as a face, he doesn't work, and as a Judgment Day heel, it's just a lackey. Give him something to do, boys. Give him something to do. So, the whole friction that's being teased, I think, is leading to Finn Balor leaving the group. I don't know what that's going to mean for Liv and Dom, if they'll stick together, if they're going to lean into this whole Liv Morgan's actually been with Finn Balor the whole time. So I don't know if you remember, Billy, but when they started teasing the whole Rhea and Dominic angle, it was actually Finn Balor who was caught in Liv's locker room, or vice versa.
Right,
so I don't know if there's some long-term storytelling coming there, which is going to lead to Dom versus Balor. But essentially, Finn Balor is far too good, and at the later stage of his career now, to be spending his time as a tag team champion in a group, we need to be enjoying the final few years of his singles runs, and I've missed that. And I feel like he's showing a lot more individuality at this stage of the Judgment Day, which I think would just be better off on his own. I just think it's time, and I'm really excited for it, because he's a guy who can really enhance a few of those. Whether they put him into the main event scene for a bit, even the upper mid card, you know, he's a guy that can enhance that, whether he's a heel or a face. And I just can't wait for the Judgment Day to be done. It's just not been the same since I liked the Judgment Day. They were one of my favourite factions when it was Rhea, when it was Finn, when it was Dom, when it was Damian Priest. But this version, the street trash version, it just feels cheap and lousy and just is wasting all of our time. So bring on the Finn Balor split. I'm looking for it. I do expect him to lose to Gunther by aid of Damian Priest, but doesn't matter as long as it leads to the total destruction of the group. I
can't argue with anything you say. I like all the individuals that are in Street Trash. I just don't think Street Trash feels like, I hate the name. I fucking hate. I mean, it's such a 90s. It sounds like something a band from the 90s wear. With Street Trash, it sounds like a clothing line from the 90s. Street Trash, yeah.
Do you know what's good though? Like, if I ever get you for some form of Secret Santa, I am absolutely getting you the Street Trash t-shirt.
And I will wear it with pride, sir. I will wear it with pride. It's no, I think that's good. I think it's a like, it's not a negative. I would like to see these individuals find something else. I liked JD and Finn together. I don't know what I think of them as a tag team. As a partnership, maybe, is JD being...
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Second, I think that works. There's a lot of history there. And they work great together. Carlito could do other things. I think there's just other places for Carlito. If you're never going to treat him seriously again, fucking put him with Alpha Academy or something. I don't know. But one with those guys. Liv is great, but I think the longer she's involved with it, the more it's devaluing herself until we get the end of this Rhea, Dom, Liv feud till we get to the end of that. No, I think you
in about 5 years' time.
Oh, Jesus. Well, these are all things I'm going to end. The one thing I will say I really liked is I liked the fact that Finn never let go of the fact that he hated Damian Priest. I like the fact they almost tried to move him away, and just when you thought there was just enough room, that maybe there was enough distance, fuck you. So I really like that.
Exactly. See, before I throw it back to you to get your eye of the week, what I will say is I'm hoping that what my assumptions are, that at Saturday Night Main Event, we now know it's obviously Finn Balor and Gunther for the World Championship. I'm assuming that Damian Priest is going to cost Balor the match, just like Balor cost Priest the match at Survivor Series. But what I hope that leads to is Royal Rumble, one final match, and that's it. I hope that's that kind of done. And I said this to my mates, hopefully it's just some sort of like maybe even like, I don't know, if you want to break out Hell in a Cell, if you want to break out some form of stipulation just to stop people from getting involved, I don't know, just have that final match and get that over and done with, and then let both of them get on with their different stories, because it has dragged now. And it's the same with Liv and Rhea, you know, that's been going on months, and to the point where people are getting really, really frustrated about it. But I'm hoping that when this Balor-Priest match comes about after Saturday Night Main Event, that hopefully that might be the last time we see it. For a while anyway.
Fingers crossed. Or we do some... I mean, WrestleMania seems so far away, doesn't it? I mean...
Yeah, that's because... Naturally, you'd think that they would have their big match at WrestleMania, but it feels like there's 4 months to kill. Better, more closer to 5 months, I think, with the fact that Mania's at the end of April.
Are we going to get this to the Rumble? Like
you can't keep this going.
I don't think so. It would have to be. Oh God! Even what could be the condition you could? No, I just don't feel these too much.
You would have to write. Yeah, you'd have to write one of them off TV for a good few months and then have them come back like before Mania.
Unless, of course, we're buying time to that first. We keep forgetting about this, but there may be like 2 different pay-per-views potentially on the run here. We've got Saturday night's main event. We've got the Royal Rumble, of course, but we've also got that first Raw on Netflix, which is going to be huge.
Yeah, true.
So we could see some big matches and big events on there. Maybe Damien versus Finn on that first ever. Loser that disbands or something. I don't know. Maybe they could be some condition there. If Damien wins, the Judgment Day is done or some shit like that. I don't know. But because I'd like to see Domini's on. Anyway, getting back to it, let's talk about some eyes, I think we'll say. And I am casting my eye over very briefly to AEW. We never give AEW enough love, and we always get a hard time we don't get a hard time for that, but they're having struggles just now. We did see some of the ratings that have come out, and there's some work that needs to be done in AEW, and I would suggest it needs done sooner rather than later. In saying that, my like is this week is I've got to admit I'm loving that Private Party is getting featured in the way it's featured. I think they're an incredible tag team. I feel like it's a little, no pun intended, we're a bit late to the party in terms of what we're doing, because it seemed like a few years ago they were ready to make this jump, and I'm very much enjoying Private Party being in the conversation as a full-blown tag team unit. It's tag team wrestling is really more of my like this week, because we've got that over in AEW, and you will have heard the big news over the weekend that the Hardys have signed a year's deal with TNA Wrestling, which I think is fine. I think is good. I think 2 years would have been all right. Maybe 3 years would have been like, whoa, that seems
calm down.
A lot beyond a nostalgic run in WWE, which is where we are. Which is, there's no 2 ways about it. Like, guys are aging up and aging out. Where we are. My like this week is tag team wrestling. Is very much so. I'm enjoying what Private Party are doing in AEW. I think that despite the fact they like to present that division as being white hot, there's 4 tag teams that are interesting right now. There's the Outrunners. There's obviously Private Party. I'm now throwing a blank with FTR, who I'm a little concerned are getting lost in the shuffle a little bit. Feel like they need some business. But the problem is with AEW right now, and again, I'm not turning an eye into an awe, is this we're not seeing stories. We're not seeing business. It seems to be, if FDR aren't involved in the tag team title race, you don't seem to be involved with anything.
Yeah, that seems to have been the case. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but FTR potentially might be my favourite tag team of all time. Fair. I love FTR. Always been a huge since I remember the first week when they tagged together as the Revival in NXT. I thought, I like these guys. I've been a fan ever since. They're up there for one of my favourite tag teams ever. But you're right, because it seems, and they're kind of in that same position as what the Young Bucks get themselves into, where if it's not tag title related, then they're doing something that is not worth anybody's time. And obviously that's, for the FTR in particular, that's not necessarily their fault. That's the way that they're being booked. But to keep it in sort of an eye at the minute, what I will say is, Billy, I do feel that AEW are doing tag team wrestling probably the best out of all the major promotions right now. Yeah,
there's a lot of mix. There's a lot of mix going on, which is great.
WWE have sorted it out on SmackDown. I feel it's got a little bit better since Motor City Machine Guns came in, but then you flip it to Raw and you've got Balor and McDonough, which we talked about. So AEW with Private Party, with the Outrunners and all these other teams that we've seen featured at Full Gear and elsewhere, they've got a really healthy tag team division at the minute. And I love tag team wrestling as well.
I like the titles being on career tag teams. Like I always like the titles being on career tag teams, not just makeshifts or what have you. I always like them being on career tag teams. That's what we've got in SmackDown. That's what we've now got in AEW. We need to sort that out on Monday Night Raw, I would argue. I think, are the Hardys TNA World Tag Team Champions? I've now just said that. I'm not exactly sure.
See, what I was going to say there was that sometimes I don't mind it when a makeshift tag team wins the title if it's a good story. So if two partners come together and they win the tag titles and it's like, it's a feel good moment, it was part of a vital storyline, then I don't mind it. But then when you get ones just put together for the sake, like I hated it when Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso won the tag titles. I hated it last year because I just thought there's other tag teams, there's people waiting in that line to get an opportunity. And I remember back in the day they had John Cena and David Otunga. Granted, I think they won it for a night.
Oh yeah, that's
but
right.
Still, I'm like, think of the tag teams that are waiting there in the wings for these opportunities, dying to just get some TV time. And you're giving teams like this I agree. Career tag teams should be prioritised when it comes to who's been crowned these
It's
champs.
a nice surprise once in a blue moon when it goes on a random pairing, but never keep them on. I like more career tag teams or more people that are committed to it. Hopefully we'll maybe see the Creed brothers start getting into that conversation on Raw. And I'm right, the Hardys are the reigning and defending TNA World Tag Team Champions. So long may the Hardys reign, as long as they're able to still do it. And they both look like they've got a couple of like injury issues and stuff sorted out. They're looking great in TNA. I don't know if TNA are just better at managing them and putting and looking after what the team
I think TNA is just the right place to be for them.
I
just
think you're absolutely right. It should have been AEW.
Maybe the pressure of WWE was maybe a bit too much for someone like Jeff, who we all know has his problems. I don't know if that maybe got to him. And then with AEW, I just don't think that not to shit on AEW, I'm not going to, this isn't a shoot on them by any stretch, but we do know that things aren't exactly great backstage at AEW, so maybe not the kind of place for guys like that to thrive. TNA seems like a place where they seem to enjoy themselves at the minute, and do you know what? As long as they're enjoying themselves, as long as they're getting the best out of this stage of their career, that's what I just hope.
100%, 100%. Give me your no, mate. Give me your no.
My no. Right, okay, I struggled this week to find a no because, I kind of enjoying things at the minute. I must admit, there's not too many negatives for me across all the promotions since we last spoke. But one thing that I did want to pull up, and it's a nice segue into our next segment, which will be a Survivor Series recap. I want to talk about the wait times between matches on PLEs at the minute because I think that Uncle Paul's ripping it ever so slightly. Just ever so slightly. So I have got a stat here, and someone has actually started a page on Twitter called WWE Wait Times. I don't feel as strongly about it as the guy who started this page, but it put things into perspective. So between matches, here was the wait times: 15 minutes and 5 seconds, 13 minutes and 41 seconds, 15 minutes and 16 seconds, 14 minutes and 28 seconds, and then between the world title match and the final and the War Games main event, there was a 24-minute wait time.
Wow!
So that is an average wait time of 17 minutes between matches to make up packages, adverts, vignettes, entrances. Now, let me just make one thing perfectly clear. I love a pre-match vignette or package. I love entrances. I'm not saying we need to strip them down, but WWE nowadays they tend to drag out these ads and these vignettes and packages for Monday Night Raw a lot longer than they used to. And we spoke last week about how is a 5-match card enough, or is it too little? This is proof in the pudding that you have time to fit in at least one more match. Because we don't need
entertaining.
Yeah. We don't need constant reminders of what's happening on Monday Night Raw tomorrow or on Monday night. Like, we have a pre-show, we have a post-show. You can tell us during matches. Yep. We don't need full-on 5-minute promos of what's happening on Raw. The wait times are starting to bug me a wee bit. You were there on Saturday at the ICW watch party, and I had a great night, fantastic night. I actually enjoyed Survivor Series, but I did find myself on these breaks going, I just want the next match to start.
To put that into context, 24 minutes is your average runtime of a sitcom episode. Right, so I'm talking Friends, Red Dwarf,
The
Office, whatever you're into.
Whatever.
That is the average runtime of one of those episodes. So you can fit one of those in there. I mean, you think about that. You think about how much time you would commit to sitting down and watching that. That's ridiculous, right? They need to do something about that. I agree with that. That's I said it the other week. I would like my pay-per-views a little denser. Maybe we just need to look at, maybe they've just not found the way to do that yet. Can I also say on our pre-shows in WWE, feel free to chuck some of those free matches on again. Remember, we used to get matches on the pre-show?
100%.
Where have the matches gone?
I seen somebody bring this up. I seen somebody bring this up in the... I think it was Kevin, one of our viewers who's been here every episode, who said, bring back pre-show matches. 100%. They were great. They were great, man.
I mean, that's where that's where Vince put the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal one year. I just a couple, just before showtime. So we're going live in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Send some folks out for a fun match. Get the crowd going up. We going up. Maybe you could even put a mini feud in there, title, whatever. Speed match. Put a couple of fucking speed matches on. I don't give a shit. Just do something. And I feel somewhere along the lines, and I get it, someone could turn around and go, you don't want to burn out the crowd. I was at WrestleMania 30 and 34, where those seemed so fucking long. Like, the pre-show was loaded with matches. I mean, the entire night was going on 6 hours in the end. It's a long time to sit and watch that. And so you think about that, you're putting a day's work into going and seeing a pay-per-view if you think about it, right? Yeah. So I just feel I agree with you entirely. They need to find a better way of doing that. You don't always need to, I don't know, what's the post-show for? Like, make the post-show part of that. Put their ticker tape along the bottom. I don't give a shit, but you need to just stop constantly reminding. You're selling it to the people that are already watching, right? Maybe that'll be different on Netflix, and they have to go, well, we're hoping to pick up lots of new viewers, and we're going to have to let them know who Roman Reigns is. They're going to have to let them know why Roman Reigns wants to wrestle this guy, why CM Punk wants to wrestle this guy. I get that, but you're already doing a lot of that, so why do we need more adverts to what we're already fucking watching? Like, it seems odd to me. It seems odd to me. Hey, don't forget, you love this. You can watch this again tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. You know, I don't know. I feel like it's... But I take your point. It's too many wait times. It's just too many fucking wait times. If they were for a theme park ride, you'd be fucking livid.
Exactly. And I should not be able to fit in an episode of The Office before a main event match.
How funny is that? I mean, literally think about that. You sitting down and watching an episode of The Office before the match fucking starts.
I know that they had 10 people that had to enter. I understand that's why that one's a little bit longer. But at the end of the day, 8 of those 10 were literally walking from the top of the ramp to the cages at the top of the ramp.
And the thing is, like, we all love an entrance. We all listen to music on our Spotify.
One of the best parts of this.
Yeah, exactly. We all listen to music on our Spotify and go, could I use this as entrance music? Yeah, we've all done it. Would this work? Would this be my heel music? I'm not sure. We've all done that. We've all walked down the aisle in Asda going, fucking yes. And there you are, high-fiving the pieces. I've never done that, but I imagine it'd be fun. Now we need to talk. I think we need to do a recap of the Survivor Series. Now, like Ryan says, me and him were
good segue.
Really both in the same room, which was amazing. But we were there watching Survivor Series live, and let's do a quick rundown of that and how we thought. First of all, Ryan, we'll kick off at the start. Let's kick off with the women's War Games match, which I'm going to come out and say is getting a lot of shit online. I'm not exactly sure why, because I thought it was quite exciting. I
would say that it was probably the weakest match of the night in my opinion. That might be fair. Not to the extent of which some people are making out. I don't think it was terrible. I think it got much better as the match went on. I think that as the ring filled up, the eventfulness of the match ramped up as well. And there was some nice spots in there. There was some good storytelling. The whole stuff with Tiffany Stratton and cashing in, and obviously Io Sky going off the top of the cage with the bin as usual. I thought the match got better as it warmed up, Billy, but I don't think it was as bad as what some people are making.
No, it's all, and it's a hard spot because like you are starting off with a straight wrestling match, and then it takes a long time, with the components coming in. Nia Jax has been getting a hard time off a lot of people, which I don't get, because physically Nia is looking better and better every time she gets in the ring. It's hard to be the monster and come in so early in the match. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think that was maybe the biggest mistake of the match, is having Nia in as early as she was. But Nia Jax has got a style.
Yeah.
You know, she is. I don't know what the people that constantly give her this sort of abuse, and the abuse that she was getting at the weekend, are clearly trolling more than anything, right? So I like to try and give Nia Jax that bit of praise and support for having to deal with that while also doing her job. But like, she has a style, and her style is the monster of the women's division. Now, I don't know what you expect. And I'm not talking about you, Billy, here. I don't know what the people who are moaning at it expect, but if you're the monster, you're not going to be moving like Rey Mysterio. You're not going to be jumping off the top rope or running full pelt. She is the monster of the division, and that applies to her moveset, to her style of wrestling. And I think she's been great this past year. And in the match, I can see why people were maybe like, because
the chair shots,
the problem is
everyone's going to bring up the chair shots. The chair shots were not her best.
Yeah.
You got to bear in mind,
the problem is
she doesn't want to hurt anyone. Like, she doesn't want.
Yeah,
she doesn't want to hurt anyone. And also, man, it is so hard. If you're not used to swinging a chair, and if someone's too close or misspelled, and you've got 1,000,000,001 things going on, I think this is Nia's first War Games off the top of my head. I can't think of her being in another one.
I think
so there's a lot of different components there, and if there's any mistakes, you're having to do things on the fly. So I think people need to give it hey, look, something to work on. And from what you've just said, Ryan, obviously the last year she's been great. She's making a lot of steps to improvement. I guarantee you next time Nia Jax swings a chair, it's going to look like she's fucking killing someone. Like, I guarantee you that that did get picked up on.
What I was going to say is, I think one of the biggest problems is the people want War Games to be fast-paced, constant, non-stop. They want blood. They want... And Nia is naturally going to slow the pace of that down a bit, because her style is a bit more methodic and a bit more power-based. And I don't think people can adjust to that. I think people are so used to seeing the likes of Io Sky launching herself off the cage, and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley wrestling the way they do. And just Nia Jax is different. So, yeah, it's going to change up the style of the match.
Certainly is. And I the match in general, I enjoyed, like you said, the high spots. Everyone played their part very, very well. I can get people saying it maybe wasn't the best one of the cup. I don't think it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. Some people are talking. I saw someone that said they thought it was the worst War Games match they've ever seen. No. I want to make this very clear. We go pre-WWF, there's some stinkers in WCW. There are some fucking stinkers. Man. All these, I think a couple of them had been involved in War Games before. A lot of these women do not work together on a regular basis as well, as much as they're athletes and they're at the top of the game. A lot of them don't work together. I'm not making excuses. I thought it was fine. I just enjoyed it, right? Sometimes, here's the whole thing. Sometimes I like to go and watch wrestling and just enjoy it. I don't do live tweeting when I'm watching a show. I don't do any of that. I sit there in my popcorn and in case I'm walkabout, my waffle fries and my Coke. And as I watch the guys from ICW bang down those tiny little pink shots, don't know what they were. Looks fucking lethal.
Tequila Rose.
Is that what they were? Oh, right. Oh, that's not... They don't look good, though. They look like the stuff you clean windows with. It looked like window lean or something. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. Yes, you can improve it, but first match out, and I'm going to come to something else that I want to come to very, very quickly. I didn't think they were the best crowd either. I'm going to come out. Yep.
No, and listen, Billy, this isn't I don't think it's an attack on this specific crowd. I think it's just, we have got to the point where we know that the North American crowds are just not that great. They're just not. And that's a simple, there's very few cities in North America which cut the cheese. Philadelphia, Chicago, and I would say the New York crowds are the only ones. They're the only ones where I feel like we're going to get a great crowd tonight. Anywhere else, you know they're going to.
So just to confirm, this was Vancouver. This was in, was it
Vancouver, Canada?
So the Canadians they know how to throw a party, but on this night it wasn't. Yeah. And it was not more demonstrated more perfectly than in the next match. So, US title, Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight, and for some reason they went, something, when LA comes out, we're going to put on the noisometer. and Ellie gets a great pop, and that noisometer does not fucking move. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying there was no difference in sound. I'm saying is that your noisometer didn't work. Didn't work. Like, to not even...
The noisometer is nonsense. It's
not
like...
even work it, though. To not even work it and have it go boom.
Yeah. I have been in 3 or 4... Since they brought it in at the start of the year, I have been at 3 pay-per-views. WrestleMania, Bash in Berlin, Clash at the Castle. And it is just a ploy to try and get the crowd to act louder. Like, there is no correlation between what's happening and that thing. It's nonsense. Because I remember in Glasgow, they used it at a point in the Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles promo. Was the loudest the building was that whole weekend. I swear to God, even when Drew came out the next night, it was still loud at this point with the AJ Styles chants. The place was going nuts for AJ Styles, and it said it was however many decibels. Then there was another segment later that night with someone else, and they tried to claim it was louder than that segment, and there was just no way. I was like, that's just false. It's just wrong, because you don't need to be an expert, a scientist, to figure out what was louder, and they were trying to claim. It's just nonsense, that whole thing. They should just bin it. I hate it.
It really took me out. It really did for a second. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm actually quite looking forward to this match. But let's talk about the match. What did you think of it?
Yeah. I liked the match. I enjoyed the match, but what I will say is I'm disappointed, Billy. I am, and maybe I have a feeling we might differ. And I know what we said, that Nakamura kind of needed to win this match.
Yep, we were in total agreement with that.
I don't know, man. I agree, he probably did, because if he didn't, God knows what we'd be doing with him right now. But I don't know, man. I'm sad that LA Knight's lost the title. I thought he was a good champion, a lot of great defences. I think he had something like 9 defences since he won it at SummerSlam, which is crazy when you consider Logan Paul defended it twice. And I don't know, I just feel like it was just such a short story for LA Knight to lose the title in the way that he did. Yeah. And I hope that he gets another crack at the whip soon with a title, because I think he could give us a whole lot more. But listen, Nakamura probably needed the win.
I get a feeling he's going to. I wondered if this was more of a transition for LA Knight than it was Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, great to see. First of all, good solid match. These are two guys whose styles very much clash, but athletically it was fantastic. Nakamura looked like a killer at times. That burning hammer that LA Knight hit, what a belter.
Oh,
picture perfect.
He adds a different move to his moveset every week. Like, I swear there's something new every week that gets
smooth as silk as well. Smooth as silk. Nakamura looked great as well. You believed that this was a fight between these two, and it came down to it came down to a realistic mistake. Slightly heelish, you could say, but it came down to a mistake that LA Knight made, one that he shouldn't recover from, when he's dropped to the back of his head, boom, and then Kinshasa'd right to the back of the neck. It was believable that he was beaten because of that, right? And it didn't make... I don't think it made him look weak. I don't think it made...
Nah, that's the good thing. I think that the good thing is, even though I'm disappointed that he lost, at least he didn't lose in a way that goes... Well, he looks like a jobber.
Yeah, exactly.
He looked the part still.
I would rather he was beaten like that than he was beaten with interference or something like that. I hate that shit. And for that respect, I'm going to give it a thumb up, because it made LA Knight look good, I think. Shinsuke Nakamura, great to see something different. I hope,
Yeah, by the way, sorry to cut you off. The new entrance theme and the new look, superb.
Love it. I kind of hope these guys are done. I kind of hope they go their separate ways, because with the Netflix era around the corner, with Saturday night's main event around the corner, and the megastar, he's won the US title. I feel like he could move on to something else. I feel
well, I just hope that whatever he gets put into, I hope it's money for him, because he deserves it. He's such a good worker, and he's been brilliant all year. He deserves it. I
genuinely think it is. He's also the type of guy that it wouldn't surprise me if we got a news story in a couple of weeks going, LA Knight's actually away filming a movie, or he's away filming a TV show or something. That's why they've had to take the belt off him. He's going to be gone for a little while. Although I didn't get that vibe. But then maybe they're not wanting to do that because they don't want him not on TV. Like, they need these stars to carry us through on SmackDown especially. Where does he fit in? Does he fit into the world title picture? Is it ridiculous? Is it ridiculous for him to be moving towards that, or being a possible challenger
Well, I mean,
with the Royal Rumble round the corner? Are we going to put LA Knight in that conversation? You know, because again, it's Netflix.
listen, what did he do at the Royal Rumble in 2023? 2024. Yeah. He was in the title match. He was in the world title match. So there's no reason why he couldn't be maybe this time coming up to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to see. I'd love to see that. I think great to see these guys put on a great and entertaining match for us. I hope they move on to new things. So I love that. I enjoyed it in that respect. I didn't feel shortchanged, and there was a big pop when Shinsuke won. I have to say, when Shinsuke won, and it wasn't a go at LA Knight. I think even the crowd in the room, if you remember, popped, because I think they were like, "Good for you, Shinsuke. Good for you."
I think there was that element of surprise was there as well, because I don't know, I think a lot of people might have expected him to win, but I popped in Walkabout because I really did not think that he was going to win the title. I thought, I was adamant there was going to be some sort of dodgy finish that kept LA Knight as champion. So I think there was that element of surprise in the arena. But it was a great match. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, what have we got next, sir?
The triple threat intercontinental championship match, which was fantastic, and I know you pulled me up about it last week, but dare I say, Billy Kirkwood, this was a banger. Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser.
I will consent to bangerage. It was definitely, it was a great match. It was a great match.
It was a great match. Braun Breaker, Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, great chemistry, great IQ in terms of a triple threat match. I think they all worked to their strengths, and there was different elements of the match. So Braun going up against Sheamus, Braun going up against Ludwig going up against Sheamus. We've seen all three men take on each other at some point or another. Some people sat out for a bit, and it just worked really, really well. The pacing of the match was great. The big spots of the match was great. Billy, how good is Braun Breaker? This man is potentially the future of WWE. The way that I seen a great tweet. Can I read a tweet out to you, actually? I want to read. So did you see Braun Breaker's post-match press conference clip?
No, I didn't.
So in the post-match press conference, he got asked about, his motivation and how he keeps going the way he does, and he says that he follows 3 words, and it was like effort, attitude, and toughness. It spells eat, and it's such dumb jock energy. And this was the tweet somebody put up, that pro wrestling hasn't seen a meathead of this level in years. A real wrestler, a Steiner,
I like it.
And that is what professional wrestling needs, is a Steiner, a meathead. And in this match, he delivered so much. And, I really wanted to see maybe Ludwig win this.
It would have been interesting.
When you watch the match, you go, yeah. And I would have loved to see Sheamus win it, but when the match finished, I went, damn, there's a reason Braun Breaker's got that championship right now, because he is going to propel to another level soon, and this is just the beginning.
You've got it right there. I mean, I have moaned for years and years about where are the badasses? Where are the badasses? What about Brock Lesnar? Well, Brock Lesnar's a generational talent. There's not going to be many Brock Lesnars until, who came along?
That's
him. Our very own Braun Breaker, who I loved to bits. I thought it was a fantastic match. He looked great. Do you know what I really liked was the struggle as they were struggling to win the match. Everyone, like even Braun Breaker had his moments where Ludwig got one on him, Sheamus got one on him. I loved the struggle. It felt like an athletic contest, and yes, we all believed that Sheamus could have done it, but he didn't know, did he? He didn't know, did he?
No, I mean, I don't know. You were still here for this match, weren't you? In Walkabout, you were still here for this match. I don't know if you noticed from your table, but that near fall, I launched myself out my seat. I actually thought Sheamus had done it. I thought the 3 count was about to be hit. But you're right, that struggle, they made it so believable that any 3 of these men could win the title, and then you bought into the struggle, you bought into the next stage of the match once the guy on the map kicked out. It was so well done. I thought that the storytelling in the match was fantastic.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought it was, I love the story. If you can go into a match believing all 3 men can win, like all 3 individuals have a legitimate call to the title, then it's the way to go, man. It's totally the way to go, and I really genuinely believe that they had a chance. Braun, but like you say at the end of it, you did go, fuck me. Braun versus title, WrestleMania 6 replayed all over again. It would be like if he goes into a match as the challenger with that belt round his waist, you'd be like, fuck, who wins that? Who wins that?
And I think they kind of teased that last night on Raw, didn't they, with the backstage segment between Ludwig and Braun Breaker. I think Braun hit out with some sort of line that basically alluded to like, Gunther's a man for the taking, and he said that while he has the IC title round him, so you never know. Maybe that's a situation that we could be dealing with very, very soon.
Definitely. I think seeing Braun getting into that conversation would be fantastic. I enjoyed all the matches. I don't know where we go next for Sheamus, because I feel they have really been leaning into, Sheamus is on his, this is him on his end run, this is him on his retirement tour. Like, there's a lot.
Well, have you heard what's happened with Sheamus? It's Chris Van Vliet gave it away on his podcast the other night. So Sheamus actually signed a 5-year extension with WWE, which is going to keep him wrestling until he's 52.
Wow.
That is nuts.
Wow.
Absolutely nuts. So the episode hasn't aired yet, but he's done his interview with Sheamus, and on the podcast the other night he said, I may as well tell you because it'll be out soon, but Sheamus is going to be wrestling until he's 52. That's nuts.
Right. Whether he is or he isn't, that tells me one or two things. They want to keep him as an iconic talent. If they place him and use him the right way, they can. Is Sheamus going to move into a trainer role?
Yeah,
is he going to move into a trainer role? Is he going to move into another face, another voice on their TV shows? You think about it. He's a big... I mean, he's done a bit of movies. He's done a bit of acting. Keeping him in the family for another 5 years. Any of that I'm happy with.
The thing is with Sheamus... Yeah, same.
I don't want to see
the thing is with Sheamus,
going to AEW, if that makes any sense.
I know 100%. He's in great shape. He's 48 in January, and you wouldn't guess it.
No,
because he looks phenomenal. He keeps himself in great condition. But the thing is with Sheamus is I think he's a guy that genuinely just loves wrestling, and I don't think he necessarily cares about the position he'll be in the card. If he's signing a 5-year extension, that's he will understand that he's not going to be winning world titles or anything like that for the next 5 years. It'll be surprising if he actually wins more than one title, that being Intercontinental. I think he's just happy to be there, be on TV, wrestling, helping some of the younger guys, helping guys like, we've seen him do all that program with Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland. Yeah. I think he just genuinely enjoys passing on that knowledge. So I don't think Sheamus is all that concerned about what he's doing, just as long as he's there and he's an option and he could be on Raw and he can put on good matches. I think that's ultimately where Sheamus probably is happy being.
That also means they can give him a proper retirement run. They can map out as well.
Yeah,
if they go, you're in the ring for 3 years, then maybe we'll use you sporadically, or you're in the ring for 2 years and then we'll use you sporadically. I mean, Sheamus being on the pre-show, that's great for me. Sheamus even 100%. Being a commentator, who knows? I love that, but it means they could map out the next 2 years. They could. That big win for the IC title, that big win for the world title. I mean, you think, even if we're not doing Rebooker T it this week, let's say Braun Breaker wins the world title, and then Sheamus turns around and goes, I've nearly had you. I've nearly had you. This is
unfinished
business.
This
is it, my last shot. You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching that. There's an inbuilt story already in there. I'm watching that. And there's, with John Cena doing his retirement year next year, we're going to start seeing a lot of faces aging out. I mean, Punk himself has said he wants to remain with WWE for the rest of his career, but he appreciates there's less time in front of him in the ring than there is behind him. So, over the next 5 years, man, it's going to be brutal for a lot of people. It's going to be brutal. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. Good on you, Sheamus. Great match for the IC title, lifting it up to a whole new level. Long may it continue.
And then we had the World Heavyweight Championship match, Billy. We had Gunther against Damian Priest, which ended in incapacitation. Gunther obviously choked Damian Priest to death following interference from Finn Balor, which is playing into the Gunther storyline at the minute, that there is that self-doubt in him, that he needs to get this job done himself, that he is kind of down on himself a little bit, which I'm quite liking, because it adds a bit of human side to Gunther. The guy who's been this kind of robotic monster just beating everybody. It does show you that there is that element of doubt in him. But the match itself, once again, I enjoyed. A very different match from the two prior, the Intercontinental and the United States, but I liked it. I just think that Damian Priest is doing a great job at the minute of enhancing his stock amongst fans, because when he first won that world title, and even right up until he lost it, I think there was a huge portion of WWE fans who just didn't see Damian Priest as that level of talent. But since he lost the title, I think he's won, including me, he's won so many people over, Billy. And I think his performance on Saturday night done that.
Can I say, like, this is going to be controversial in 2024, but it might be time. Okay. I think the time might be here to retire the Money in the Bank cash in.
Oh wow, that's something we're going to have to cover on an episode.
Because I don't necessarily think it does anyone any favors anymore. I don't think it necessarily did. You could argue that him winning the world title and being recognized as a champion will help him in the next train. Get that one out of the way. But I don't think it does anyone any favors anymore. I just don't. It's interesting with Tiffany Stratton right now, because we don't see as much of it in the women's division, or maybe we haven't. I'm going to come out and say I don't think it does anyone any favors anymore. And Damian Priest feels more like, hey, look, he feels more like a challenger, a legitimate challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship, being in that main event picture, mowing the bisexual Undertaker. We're delighted to see him up there in that position. All this phrasing is coming out wrong. I'm seeing him in that slot in the card. Oh, for God's sake, we're happy to see him. I'm just happy he's doing well.
Yeah.
None of that was meant. People are going to claim it was, and it fucking wasn't.
Especially after I watched that WWE 24 on Damian Priest, I have built up a real big.
I grew to like the man. I found myself liking the man.
Yeah.
And that can be half the battle.
Exactly, because I wasn't a huge Priest fan.
Wasn't bothered.
And when he cashed in, it was when he cashed in, it was exciting. Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, I would have preferred Drew as champ, man. I was just a bit, and then. Even I was just kind of desperate for somebody to beat Priest for it, and then he lost it, and then I think he started doing some of the best work in his career. So as you as you said, that's been without the aid of a briefcase. That's been down to him.
I think the problem I had with when he Money in the Bank, you're always going to be a second story to another story. Like, so Drew and Punk and Seth were having their story at WrestleMania. Punk, attacked him, and then Drew, and then Damian Priest came down. So I was like, right. So this is the other story. But we were watching this story. Oh, this is the side quest, and I don't think that helped Damian. And it is in general. I guess it could be a test of how the champion's done. Punk made it work in the end. That first Punk winning the world title all the way back from when he won it off Edge with a cash in. But again, it was in the subsequent reigns that he became CM Punk. He really became CM Punk. So I thought this was a great match. Gunther's showing, is he going to turn face down the line? I'm not actually as much here for it as I am. Maybe a tweener or something. I don't know what smiling Gunther looks like, and I kind of don't want to.
Gunther's one of my... Outside CM Punk, Gunther's probably my favourite wrestler in the world at the minute. I absolutely adore him. But I don't see Gunther cutting a face promo. I just can't picture it. I just can't imagine him being like, "Oh, it's great to be in New Jersey tonight." I don't see Gunther doing that.
Because the truth is, I don't think he believes that anyway. Do you know what I mean? I don't think...
Exactly.
Even the promos he cut in German in Berlin were a little heelish. Do you know what I mean? So...
Exactly.
Some people just fell for it. No, he's world class. They looked world class. Got me excited about the journey of both men, and you can't ask for more than that in a world title match. You can't ask for more than that. The loser didn't look bad. The winner looked great, and I did like the little addition of empower bombing Finn, because it's like, you motherfucker, I beat this guy on my own or not at all. You little fucker.
Yeah,
but
brilliant.
in saying that,
I enjoyed that. It wasn't like he just capitalised on it. He was angry. He was angry, and that adds into the story.
Right. Big one, the main event, War Games, Bloodline OG featuring CM Punk, and taking on Bloodline 2.0 featuring, I forgot his name, Bronson Reed. First of all, Carnage, so many people injured. Do not Google the slow-mo of Bronson Reed's ankle injury. It is not pretty to watch. I hope that the big man, I hope it's not as bad as people are saying. I hope that he's back soon, because he's on the tear of his career, and I think he's fantastic. He's showing everyone what he should be.
Well, that's what I was worried about, because he is at a point of his career now where he is enjoying the greatest reaction he's had and the greatest anticipation that fans have about him. The good thing is, I think Triple H came out and said that it wasn't as bad as what it looked. I think he said it should only be a few weeks or something. So I'm hoping that there is truth in. I'm hoping there's truth in that, and he's not just saying that to keep us all happy. But wow, man, what a match, Billy! Where do you even begin?
There's so much to cover for this. First of all, everyone played their part amazingly. We also still came out with questions about both Bloodline storylines. We don't know what's happening. Fantastic. On board with all of that. Even people slightly moving on with their business on Monday Night Raw. We saw Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins have a bit of business. But again, there was not really anything commented on the night before. So, sorry.
Can I make a point
Please do.
Quickly before I forget it? It'll slip out my head and I'll never see it. I've seen a lot of people, and it's the same. I think that in this day and age, our attention spans have been wrecked by TikTok and quick storytelling and all the rest of it. People just can't wait things out. There's no patience left in the world, right? So many people are getting worked up that The Rock never came out, that Seth never came out, that something big didn't happen. This match, that story, did not need Dwayne The Rock Johnson coming out at the end. It was perfectly told. The ending of the show going off the air was fine. We did not need The Rock. It would have made no sense for The Rock to come out after that match.
The handshake they played to perfection. Yeah. One time. Handshake. We'll stand here as winners.
I just don't get why. I don't get why so many people were like, oh, it was terrible because The Rock never came out. The Rock's business is clearly with Cody Rhodes. Let's just make that crystal clear. It seems that is... He came back at the end of Bad Blood because Cody Rhodes was there. His last appearance on Monday Night Raw wasn't with Roman Reigns, it was with Cody Rhodes. Yeah. The Rock's business lies with Cody Rhodes. So why would he have came out at the end of a show on a match that didn't contain Cody Rhodes? It would have made no sense. I thought the story itself was told brilliantly without the aid of Dwayne The Rock.
I think there's a possibility, if we're going to see The Rock, we could see him on Saturday night's main event, and we could see that having ramifications going into WrestleMania. We'll cover that when it happens, because I've got a couple of ideas that I would maybe like to see and what I think is going to happen. But to get back to the match for a second, everyone played their part expertly in this. Everyone was fantastic. The long-term storytelling between Punk and Roman Reigns, even just the facials and the interactions they had were really, really great.
Whoa, the facials.
Well, there it is again. And you settle yourself down, Damian Priest. I bet he fairly files them off. But the thing is... Just, you wouldn't want it, man. It would be like Tajiri. Do you know what I mean? Right in your face.
Oh.
Maybe that's what Shinsuke has in his mouth. But the thing is, what we have to talk about here is, he's a goth, isn't he? So he's probably going to be black jizz. It's all the monster he drinks. Let's get back on track. Let's talk about the match. First of all, every single show, how many people are turning around and going that the Samoan werewolf is just a game changer. He is so good at what he does as Jacob Fatu. Everyone, he looked like a monster. His facials were fantastic. Even when he had to make an adjustment, he saw a knee injury, and everyone's going, he must be injured. He must be injured.
I thought he was done.
No, he's just good at what he does. He's just good at what he does.
I've never been so convinced of a man being injured in my life.
Yep. But he just knows what he's doing. It's just in his blood. The start off of the match, Solo, I think, looked great as well. Because it's such carnage, it's really hard to cover. I'm glad to see the toolbox coming back in to be a weapon. Don't really know why, but there it is. There it is. But it's nice to see that coming.
He loves his toolbox.
It's a toolbox. It's a toolbox. It's going to hurt. Although I tell you this now, I kept watching that going, is that a sound effect of tools rattling about and that they're putting on? Like, I must have rewatched it 2 or 3 times going, is that a sound effect or is that the sound? Because that's crystal clear.
Surely not.
That's crystal.
Maybe it must just be Stu's camera being so close to it. It's surely because you think I like to weigh up risk and reward, right? And is the risk of it not being aligned with the toolbox moving, is it worth people laughing at WWE for using that sound effect if it doesn't line up correctly? I don't think the production team are up for that.
That's a great point. I just wondered. Is this one of those?
It sounds cartoony though, doesn't it?
Is this one of those tiny little misfires that they've just like, we'll give this a go. Oh, never doing that again. It's just one of those. The pace of the match I thought was really, really good. There was no dead air. You really got the feeling that these 10 individuals wanted to rip the absolute skin off each other. Everyone got fucking injured. Like, everyone came out of War Games looking worse for wear. Like, it had been a genuine battle.
Except from CM Punk, the one who you would probably expect to come away with some sort of injury is the guy that's standing there the next night on Monday Night Raw. I'm fine. I'm good.
Punk was the one we were all worried about. Let's face it, we were a little worried.
I worry with all my heart every time he steps in the ring, Billy. You don't need to tell me that.
I was worried because the party goes like, fuck, I mean, this is not easy. But it also tells you the testament of the recovery time in WWE, the surgery in WWE. Clearly, this is a Punk ready to go. And wasn't ready to go when he came into WWE, when he left AEW. In fact, I was watching that clip the other day of the Punks making fun of him damaging his ankle. Realistically, he shouldn't have been doing that anyway. And someone should have been telling him, by the way, you're not doing that. Why? Because you're in your 40s now and you shouldn't be doing that.
That's true, and I think that's a testament to this new WWE, which is obviously so well run and so regimented when it comes to its policies.
I do wonder if it is the likes of Paul and what have you. Sorry, Triple H being in charge of that side of it, that he is able to go, no, you're not doing that. Why? Because you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, I'd assume he's 100%.
I can tell you're going to get hurt, so you're not doing it.
I think that's probably the biggest difference between having somebody who was a wrestler in charge compared to a Vince who didn't. I mean, obviously had matches, but wasn't a professional wrestler. No. I think that's one of the differences. But the storytelling, Billy, was unbelievable. The CM Punk and Roman Reigns stuff from the minute they got out from behind the curtain until the end of the match, they told a year's worth of a story in a 41-minute match. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Just everything that they'd done, the hatred that they had for each other, then blossoming into the teamwork. That's something that most guys in professional wrestling would struggle to tell in a few weeks. And the fact that these two, I mean, they are the two biggest guys in the company. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Roman Reigns and CM Punk are the top guys of WWE, and there's a reason for that, because they're just so good at what they do. And before I finish up with what I was going to say about this match, I must say it now. Jimmy Uso, by the way, MVP of this match.
Big Jim.
Where did that... Yeah, it wasn't Jimmy Uso. That was Big Jim. I was there in Philadelphia for Jimmy versus G Uso, which is one of the worst matches I've ever seen live in my life. And I remember thinking to myself that both of them would have struggled to pass as a wrestler. The Jimmy Uso that we got on Saturday night, where was that in Philadelphia in April? Because that was unbelievable from him.
I'm going to call it. I don't think we should have saw the brothers fighting at Mania. That was a SummerSlam match.
Nah, probably not.
It shouldn't have happened. But to get with this, Big Jim, fantastic, hitting his stride. I think everyone was always been a bit worried that Jimmy Uso wouldn't find his place with Jay taking off the way he did. But I think 100%. I would like to think that got silenced a little bit on Saturday night. Sorry, I should say. I thought they were great. Again, the pace of the match was quick. It was so quick and ferocious. Some of the team ups we'd seen before. Sami Zayn was put in there as it was interesting to see him back in the War Games and not being, there being controversy behind him, like there was last time. Like, he was really in there as a warrior. It's great to see Sami Zayn back in that conversation as well, because I think he needs to be up there. He should be up there. Him, Punk, and Seth having a bit of business together makes sense as well. And I love the fact that...
I don't know about you, right? But when you were watching Raw, and obviously we had Drew come back at the end, but when we had Drew, Punk, Sammy, Seth, all involved in the same night, did it not just make you think, damn, Sammy is a true main eventer? Like, and I've never doubted that. I've always been a huge Sami Zayn fan, but he looked so natural on Raw last night in that position with those guys, where a lot of people have doubted if he can be a main eventer. Last night, for me, showed that he's somebody that I tune into Raw for. He is somebody at the top of the card.
Sammy is world-class on the mic. A world-class wrestler. I think rarely puts a foot wrong. He can be an antagonist as an all-rounder. Yeah, fantastic. Him versus Drew, him versus Seth, him versus Punk. All money matches. God, those four colliding in a four-way, fuck me, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Because you just think about Big Drew being back as well. He's got a lot to... I mean, the momentum he built up going into 2024 was incredible. He has to keep that now going into 2025, and with some names returning, hopefully he can do that. But no, I thought it was a fantastic War Games match. Proper main event. Where do we go from here? I hope we're not finished. What is the favor? Whose side is Paul Heyman really on? We haven't found out any of that yet. And lost of time. Where does Roman Reigns go from here? He's still hated. Like, now Roman Reigns has extinguish the Bloodline 2.0. Let's say that's the argument for a second. What now? He's not changed. He's not there smacking hands and, cuddling babies. What's next for Roman Reigns and the Wise Man? Who knows? So it's exciting to see. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know who he's going to do business with. Him versus Solo would feel like it's too late.
Well, he still needs to get his Ula Fala back, doesn't he?
I guess so, but that would just feel like such a brush-off match. It really would. Ula Fala on a ladder match?
Imagine that dangling from above the ring. I think I would just end up falling off.
It just doesn't fill me with excitement. Do you know what I mean? So, but needlessly, great match. All right, a couple of things just quickly. Of course, don't forget to check out ICW's final show of the year. Me and Ryan are going to be calling the action from ringside. Get your tickets right now. It is December 8th, back at the Asylum. Hands down, this is going to be better. Fear and Loathing was such a great show, Ryan. We had such a great time. Some match of the year candidates on there. And I know that everyone's going to be looking to finish off the night in grand style. So if you want to come down, of course, you can still get your tickets from universe.com/ICW. Or indeed, watch me and your boy here, Ryan, live on Triller TV+.
I can't wait. It's going to be a great end to the year. I mean, I came in the door in ICW right at the beginning of the year. This is my first year with the company. What a way to end it. Championship match. We've got so much going on. Man, it's been great. And Fear and Loathing was outstanding. So let's keep it up. Get yourself down to the Asylum or get watched on Triller Plus. It's got to be
done us proud, Hen. You've done us proud. Well done. You've done us proud. Let's get to some questions for the end of the show. So many coming in. Very quickly, one that has come up about 2 or 3 times, so I'm going to pick someone at random to answer this one. So I'm going to go with Kicking It Greg, who has asked, is it more of a money match? Which one do you think? Seth versus Punk or Punk versus Roman?
Well, this is the thing that's coming up so much over the past few days. People are going, I don't want Seth and Punk anymore. I want Roman and Punk. But what I will say is to that, as a huge fan of CM Punk, of course, when he was coming back to the company, there was one thing on my mind. It was Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. It was always the match I wanted to see. And I think evidently, after last night's Monday Night Raw, that is still the plan coming up soon. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to do Punk and Roman at some point. I think we'll get it. It's naturally going to have to happen because, as I said earlier, these are the top two guys in the company. And I can't think of anybody else who goes above Punk and Roman. These two are the top guys. They're the biggest draws, they're the biggest merch sellers, they sell out buildings. These two are the top guys. So it will happen eventually. As for big money, I don't know. Probably Roman and Punk is. But Seth and Punk is still such a huge match when you consider all the history that's there behind it. So, listen, enjoy them. Enjoy all of it. Enjoy both matches. We don't need to single out one of them.
Yeah, no, I think let them cook. When you think of the year we've got coming up next year, hopefully we're going to see Punk versus Cena at some point. I would love to see them run that one round again. Loads of different things. Roman versus Punk, let's run that back as well at some point. I guess what I'm really, really what I'm delighted about is that even though Punk has now been back a year, he and Seth Rollins have only officially laid hands on each other, I think, once. Was that for the first time last night in a whole year?
That was it. It finally happened.
So
and you know who you've got to thank for that? Big Drew. Even with Punk's injury, it's still incredible storytelling. That's a match you could take to Mania. Oh, yeah. I like the fact that Punk still got in the importance of the titles in WWE to him and to Seth. It's like, you had something I wanted and now you don't. And we all know it's like, well, you fucking hate. You don't like Seth Rollins, or you don't like the fact that Seth Rollins won't get the fuck out your way. It was a great promo last night. I loved it. I was sitting up on my bed. But between both men, that line, you're right. Where it's like that line where CM Punk was like, for 6 months you've been thinking of me, and I've not even thought of you once. Do you think this is pushing to heel Seth? Because I hope it is. I really do.
Unless it's going to pivot into heel Punk. But the thing about Seth is, I've never really rated him as a face much.
Yeah, he's that's what I was about to say. He's so much better as a heel, and that's why I hope it is pushing him to be the heel.
I did enjoy the over-the-top stuff he did with Logan Paul. Like, I enjoy the Seth Rollins character in that respect. I'm past the singing, couldn't give a fuck about the singing of his theme tune. But I always remember, like, when he did the whole thing with Logan Paul on the phone, he went, "Logan, just one last thing. Bye-bye, bitch." And then he hung up the phone.
Bye-bye, bitch.
I rewatched that clip again and again. I just thought it was perfectly done. Especially as Logan as well very much sold it on the phone of being like just outraged that he was getting hung up on. I think you're right. Yep. I think I'm intrigued by Punk versus Roman. It probably is the money match, but I think I kind of want to see Seth versus Punk first. In the same way I want to see Seth versus Punk versus Drew. I think I want to see that more. Great question to kicking it, Greg's. You got any more, sir?
Kevin asked the question: does the WWE have too many titles with the introduction of the new Women's Intercontinental Championship? So I've seen a lot of people raising this question that now each show will have a world title, a men's world title, a men's mid-card title, a women's world title, a women's mid-card title, and tag titles between both shows. So, and then we've got the women's tag titles, which go back and forth between Raw and SmackDown. But if you take the women's tag titles out of the equation at the minute, you're talking 5 championships on each show. Is there a concern that maybe storylines will always be about championships rather than anything else? What is your thoughts to it, Bill?
Is there too many titles? The questions came up.
Let me ask you this.
There's too many titles in AEW. I think...
Yeah. But this is the difference between... I've seen somebody put it well. The difference between WWE and AEW is AEW have got a lot of championships which the stories have made it confusing as to what championship is better and what championship means more, whereas I think WWE does a very good job at this is the world title, this is the mid-card title, and this is what people are fighting for.
Yeah, definitely. I like clear divisions and the kind of little universes where they're battling for who's battling for one title and what have you. It took me a long while to get it over when someone had been a world champion that they would then battle for the Intercontinental. Like, it took me a while to get over that. It's like, but you've been a world champion, you've been in the main event, and now you're challenging for the IC title,
I agree.
which has happened loads over the last 20 years, do you know? So I should really be well over it by now. I think TNA has a couple of unnecessary titles, but I understand why they do. Like, they have the digital media title, which is just a modern day take on the TV title, I guess. Fair enough. But in terms of WWE, I think titles can always be in the mix of moving things forward. At the end of the day, people, you want them to be fighting for a prize. You want them to be fighting for a championship. Yep. So in order to have those titles in the mix, they've always got to be in the mix, because why else would you be fighting someone on TV every day? Because you hated them? Because, you want that, but then you just pin them and go home. You just pin them and go home. Exactly.
Like, there would be no aftermath.
There'd be no aftermath.
If that was
no aftermath. Yeah. So I think titles are hugely important, but I think they're just companies with too many. AEW is guilty of that, I think. At least we haven't seen any extra tag team titles coming in. You know what I mean? Like, we could have seen.
And WWE is not exactly innocent of it, because when you look at the tag titles, right now you can make a case that they shouldn't have split them into two again, because the booking's been poor. But that's it. It's all down to the booking. If booking goes well, people don't complain about the amount of titles there is. So my whole thing is, look, listen, if Raw and SmackDown are both becoming 3-hour shows, then hopefully they just book all of these titles correctly, and we won't need to worry about how many there is.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. If we're going to be seeing a lot of TV. We're going to see a lot of people not on TV. Like you said, they're making changes to people's quality of life as well, because they're going to be wanting to look after bankable stars that are worth millions to them. So that's why the house show market is being slowed down a little bit into just TV tapings, I should imagine, for the foreseeable future. I'm sure there's still going to be house shows and European tours and what have you. Everyone's going to be kept, everyone's going to be kept busy, but they're going to now be bankable stars. So we want to make sure that Seth Rollins is on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Because if he gets injured, it's like, shit, we just invested all that time in Seth Rollins, So it's about looking after the bankable stars, getting the quality of life, and championships mean something. Championships, no disrespect to if you watch UFC, no disrespect to anyone that's fighting in exhibition matches or contender matches. But you're there to see the main events. You're there to see the championship belts. They mean something in this day and age. And the worst thing that can happen is when they don't. And when we see mixes and what have you, like, for example, the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Usos, I'm not saying that match is going to happen, but if it did, that'd be amazing. Notice I didn't say Finn Balor and JD McDonald. It still annoys me that there was nothing wrong with Jordan Devlin. That always drove me nuts. There was nothing wrong with Jordan Devlin. That's his real name.
Well, there's the whole theory, but we won't.
The whole theory. Well, I certainly don't want to hear about his whole.
Well.
Could help it.
Right, next question. Here, by the way, this is a good. I want you to answer this very quickly. I want to see if there's any dirty laundry you want to hear. So, Billy from the Scottish Wrestling Network asked, have you got any least favourite wrestling podcast? Is there anybody you hate? Do you want to call anybody out here right now?
The answer is no. No, I don't.
I was, when I seen this question pop up, I thought to myself, wrestling's so different from football, because when it comes to football, I could name you tens, maybe hundreds of podcasters who I would happily stomp on the head of, that I would love to see die in front of my very eyes. But when it comes to wrestling, I don't know. I think the community's a lot friendlier. I don't know. I don't feel like that about any wrestling podcasters.
I don't think there's anyone really that I have any issue with, or I'm unlikely to. The answer's no, I'm afraid, which is a really boring answer. I don't have any issues, unless there's someone out there that has issues with me that I don't know about. And if they do, well, that's because to paraphrase a certain gentleman, I've never thought about them once. So it's that's kind of how it is. So, I think that's how it is. Just call me BK Punk. That sounds like I'm saying spunk. I won't do that again. Right. That's all we got time for on this episode. A couple of quick bits of business. Of course, we'd love to see you at ICW, but you might notice there was no Rebooker Tia this month. This week, I should say. What we thought we'd do as a bit of fun is we're going to hand it over to you. So wherever you're watching the video in this comment, where is a point, a gimmick, a place, a pay-per-view, something that happened in wrestling history that you would love to see me and Ryan, or me or Ryan, or whatever configuration of that, rebook in front of your very eyes?
Or against each other. I mean,
not?
We could even compete to see who books it better, and you guys can vote. We've got many different ways we can do it, but just anything in the history. If
you were to turn around and say, I want you to rebook Repo Man, we could both make a fucking pig's ear of that. So it's... but get in touch with us, of course.
Please don't pick Repo.
I don't know. It's always a name that comes up, doesn't it? You know whose fault that is? Simon Miller's. It's Simon Miller, right? I love Simon Miller, but fuck me, every time he brings up Repo Man, I'm like, God damn it, Simon! God damn it! But all that's left to say is make sure to share the video, keep showing the love, put the comments in there. We're building something here, and we are just on the start. Right, he has been the king, the number one, the head of the table of Celtic Wrestling Football Podcast, throwing it up, Ryan Fitzsimons. I have been what's left of Billy Kirkwood, an increasingly old goth, and we will see you next time on Wrestling Forever. Goodbye!